Hey, Karli, guess what time it is?
Is it time for senior night? Graduation? Time to clean out the desk for summer break?
Not quite, but just as exciting. It's time to register for the annual AP Coordinator Back to School Workshop.
Yes, that too. Workshops start in early July and registration is now open. Sign up for your preferred date and time.
The workshop is perfect for all AP coordinators, new and experienced. It features a review of important updates, resources, and deadlines for the upcoming school year. There are opportunities to ask questions, collaborate with experienced peers, hear about challenges, best practices, and stories of success.
The workshops are online over Zoom. They are free of charge and we can't wait to see you there.
Register now before this school year ends. The Back to School Workshop for AP coordinators is a sure way to get next school year off to a start that is good as gold. Coordinated, episode 279, Spotlight, Autumn in Virginia. Greetings, AP coordinators. Derek Cometa here, Senior Director, AP Coordinator Experience for the AP program, and former AP Coordinator. Today, our coordinated spotlight shines on the state of Virginia, specifically on Centerville High School. It's Monday, June 9th, 2025. We hope that many of you are enjoying a well-earned summer break. And without further delay, here is our own Karli Suge visiting with AP Coordinator Autumn Koo. Let's do this. It's time to get coordinated.
Good morning, Autumn. Welcome to the Coordinated Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's a busy time of the year. So, first, I just want to ask you a little bit about you. Where are you from? What do you do? Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Karli, and thank you so much for having me. My name is Autumn Koo, and I am a school counselor at Centerville High School, located in Clifton, Virginia, which is about 30 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. And I've been at my current school for 12 years as a school counselor, and previously to starting my job at Centerville High School, I was also at another high school in my district, and so total of 14 years as a school counselor, but 12 years at my current school.
Okay. Well, I knew there was something about you. I'm also a school counselor. School counselors unite. So we're
Connection.
talking when we're talking about just your job experience and where you're from, I just want to take it back a little bit further. So has Virginia always been home for you?
Yes and no. So I consider myself a Virginia native, but I was not born in Virginia. I was actually born in South Korea, and I moved to the States with my family when I was 8 years old. But we moved into Fairfax County, Virginia, and have lived here ever since. I'm a product of Fairfax County public schools myself, and I currently reside in Fairfax County as well. And my kids are also in the system. And so it's definitely a full circle experience.
That is so cool, Autumn. I also work in the same district that I grew up in. I work at the high school I went to. So that is such a cool experience that you get to see your actual kids go through
Yeah.
it as well. Okay, so hearing all of that and understanding kind of where you came from and moving to America, how did that affect what you wanted to be when you grew up? How did you get into education?
So I don't think I always wanted to be in education or an educator when I was growing up. And I was not always the best student while growing up. And I hope my kids and my students never listen to this podcast. But I used to always get calls, or my parents would get a call from my teachers at least once a year for various reasons. I was talkative, or, I was acting out and not staying focused. And so that started seriously from when I was in kindergarten all the way up until my senior year. And when I started my first year in college and had to kind of dig deeper into what I wanted to major in and who I wanted to become, I started looking back at my schooling experience and felt like if I had, a teacher or an adult that I connected with in school, maybe I would have had a different experience in school, someone who understood me, someone who might have advocated for me to be on a better path. And so I started looking at the education program at George Mason University and got into a couple education classes and really enjoyed my experience and started, down the path of declaring education as my major and really enjoyed and thought that I would want to become an elementary school teacher. But after going into student teaching and actually like being in front of the kids, I realized like this is probably not my calling because the time, the energy, just the life, that goes into dealing with 7, 8, 9 year olds,
Mm-hmm.
every single day, just gave me a new perspective into how much goes into being a teacher, especially at
Mm-hmm.
the elementary level. So I have a whole new level of respect for all my elementary school teachers, but also my kids' elementary school teachers. And so I went back to my advisor and I was like, at the end of my student teaching experience, and I said, oh my goodness, like, I don't think this is my calling. Like, I love being in schools. I want to help. And so we started talking about, and unpacking my journey. She asked the why, like, why did you want to go into education from the beginning? And so through just our conversation, a lot came out about my previous school experience. And she suggested that I look into becoming a school counselor. And in my head, school counselors, I got called into school counselor's office to, talk about my feelings and, why I might have gotten into an argument with a friend. And I'm like, I don't know if I would probably be good at that. But I do enjoy listening. I wanted to be a change agent. I wanted to be an advocate. And like everything was kind of pointing towards that direction. And so I started looking at the master's program at George Mason for school counseling and really enjoyed kind of what I was reading about and the role of a school counselor. And so I started, I applied, I got in. And so I started my master's program. And when I got into it after the first semester, I'm like, okay, I think this is it. And so one thing that helped me from my undergrad program is that I probably don't want elementary school counseling. And so I had set my path as a secondary school counselor, and I did my internship at the high school level and just like made an instant connection
Mm-hmm.
to just the type of job and working with teenagers. And I really wanted to have an impact as, their final 4 years, in high
Mm-hmm.
school before they go on. And so I set my path and got a job right outside of my grad program and have been a high school counselor ever since.
I love that. I am in the same boat. High school is where I'm meant to be. Cheers to all those elementary school educators that are out there doing that. We need them, but
Yes.
I am with you, Autumn. Keep me in high school. So speaking of high school, what's one thing about working at a high school that you didn't expect?
Oh, yeah. So, I was super excited as soon as I got my first job. I had this vision of like walking into my office, starting off the day with talking to kids and all this list of like things that grad school taught me that I'd be doing, running groups,
Mm-hmm.
maybe having conferences here and there with students and parents. And that literally just all went out the window when I found out that there are also other duties as assigned as
Mm,
a school counselor. Like you don't just get to just sit in your office and talk to kids all day. Like
mm,
you have other things that you have to support in terms of the whole functioning of a school system. And so the other duties as assigned was definitely a surprise, but it led me to really good opportunities, such as being the AP coordinator. That's also other duties as assigned. So that was unexpected, but I've also learned a lot of really cool skills and professional development through some of these tasks that I've taken on. So if you are listening and you are aspiring to be a school counselor, that's also one thing just to keep in mind,
Absolutely.
that, what you have in mind and what you want to do in a day may not always get done because of these extra duties that gets placed on school counselors. And I feel like all educators, even teachers, they're probably walking in also to things that, they weren't expecting to do in a day, but there's not enough hours in a day to get them all done.
Yeah. Never a dull moment. That's
Right.
for sure. So I heard you say that being the AP coordinator came to you as other duties as assigned. I call that volun gifting. I was volun gifted the title of AP coordinator. So you probably related to so many people listening to this podcast right now. Can you just kind of touch on that? How did you get to be the AP coordinator?
And Karli, I love that term, and I'm going to embrace that instead of telling people that I've been voluntold, which is, I think, a term that many of the AP coordinators can resonate with. But I was volun gifted this role when I took on my position at Centerville High School. And so 12 years ago, I interviewed to be at a high school that was closer to where I lived. And never once during the interview did this come up about my testing experience or anything about AP exams. Nothing like that came up during the interview. And I got the job, and it was like, cool. Like, we're so excited that you're joining us and to be on the team. And, you are also going to be the AP testing coordinator because the person that you are replacing used to do this and now you get to do it. So I literally just took on and adopted their whole diversified staffing. So, and since then, I secretly have kind of grown with this position, and now like I don't want to give it up. And so people on my department, like, they know, like, she secretly enjoys being the AP coordinator as
Well,
much
now it's
as
not a secret anymore, Autumn.
it,
It's on this
yeah.
podcast.
So it
Yes.
is my guilty pleasure. Yeah, I do like being the AP coordinator.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And your kids are lucky to have you. So
Oh, thank
speaking
you.
of your AP program, can you tell us a little bit about your AP program, maybe the size and maybe the biggest challenge with your AP program?
Sure. I think we have about 24 to 25 different AP courses that we run at my school. We just administered a little over 2,200 AP exams
Wow.
for about 915 students. And so we have I consider our AP program to be pretty large. And, we're adding new AP classes next year, and that's great. And in our school district, we have an open enrollment policy, which means a student doesn't require a teacher recommendation to take an AP class. However, one of the challenges that we have, with that is the providing support for first-time AP students. And so, we've seen that some students who might get into their first AP class, for example, like AP World History, and they may, have this desire to challenge themselves at this level, but they may not be equipped with all the skill sets of just time management and organization skills, note taking skills that AP classes require students because it's a college level course and these kids are still in high school. And so they're still learning and adapting to these challenges. We don't have the adequate support and resources that are ongoing for our first time AP students or even current AP students that take, multiple AP classes in our schools. So, we've talked about adding more supports like, possibly a summer boot camp program or something that is embedded into the school day to help, current AP students with time management and organization skills. But I feel like if we had ongoing support, academic support, we could even, grow our program bigger or even just have the success with current students
Mm.
that will continue to sign up for more AP, classes throughout their high school career instead of just like being one and done after a
Mhm.
bad experience. And so hopefully, we will continue to work with other colleagues in the building to provide that support, but as I mentioned, there's just not enough hours in the day to,
Mhm.
fit all this in. But I think it is an important piece of work that we need to, keep at the forefront to make sure that our students are being supported and that we're setting them up for success.
Right. Autumn, I think that's fantastic that you just turned this question about challenges into a better way to support your students and to bring them more success. And I love that you're looking at it from that perspective of this is a challenge on how to make our program better for our kids and our students. And I think that that's an amazing way to look at that. And I think we can all do better on supporting our kids, right? So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah,
And
of
thank you for
course.
sharing about your AP program and your journey to education. Within that, let's pretend there is a brand new coordinator, AP coordinator at your neighboring high school. Autumn, what do you think is the best advice that you could share with someone who is new to the role of AP coordinator?
Hmm. Um, I would definitely say, like, give yourself grace, because there's just a lot that goes into being an AP coordinator, whether you're just overseeing the testing administration piece of it, or if you're also the AP program coordinator of, dealing with like course audits. But there's just a lot that,
Hmm.
goes into the job. And so give yourself grace, and, lean in on other supports, whether it be other AP coordinators within your district, or even getting connected with the College Board, AP coordinator community. One thing that I've, found myself like using a lot recently is the AP coordinator community, and the resources and the different discussions that people have. So even as an experienced coordinator, I'm learning new things, a better way to make the exam administration process a better experience for our students, but also to the people giving it, such as our proctors. And so definitely utilize all the resources. Again, like when I started as an AP coordinator 12 years ago, there was no chat with the coordinator, there was no coordinated podcast. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know when the AP coordinator community, was a thing on the College Board's website, but again, like I was handed a manual, and that's pretty much all I got. And
Hmm.
so right now, like there's just so much out there. So continue to just lean on other people for support and utilize all the resources that are out there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Autumn. I agree. We work as AP coordinators a lot of the times as the only AP coordinator at our school site. So it feels like you're on your own island, but there's a lot of islands out there of people going
Mhm.
through the exact same thing and using all of those resources and going to the workshops. Later in the summer, we'll have the back to school workshops, being able to, like you said, share tips and tricks of how we make things easier at our sites is just such
Mhm.
a wonderful way to ease into it. So if you're listening to this and you're just got this position, you're in the right place, my friends. We're happy
Yes.
to have you, and there's a lot of resources that you can use.
Absolutely. We are here for you. We hear you. We get you. Yeah. So,
Yes, yes, we are your people. So, as we are moving towards summer, so hopefully a lot of our listeners are already on summer or almost on summer. I know you and
yes,
I are
counting down the
almost
days.
there. Exactly. So, I want to kind of transition to a couple fun questions to get us in a summer state of mind. So, Autumn, are you a morning person or a night person?
So I consider myself a night person, but I think as I am aging and getting older, I find myself being a more pleasant person in the morning. And so I am becoming a morning person. I think I'm okay with letting go of my night person identity.
I love that. There's nothing better than a summer morning that you are not rushing off to get
Yep,
to drop off and school and get in your office before there's a line of
absolutely.
3 kids, right? Okay, so also speaking of fun summer things, dreaming, what is the first thing you would do if you won the lottery?
I am big on like going on vacations and I
Mm.
love me some all-inclusive resorts and all the good things that comes with
Mm-hmm.
just paradise and beach. And so I would probably want to purchase like a private island and take all my family and friends and we can just go there whenever we wanted. So I would probably, yeah, it takes me to a happy place, like even thinking about it. And I'll probably
Yes.
never win the lottery, but just thinking about it makes me
Well, that,
happy.
yes, that puts me in a summer state of mind, and I will be looking for my invitation when you win the lottery
Absolutely.
to your island. So, Autumn, again, I just want to thank you so much for being here and for sharing your experience. It's so valuable to us to hear other experiences and to know that we're not the only one out there doing this and that there are so many people there to support our kids. So, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
AP coordinators, thanks again for joining us. Derek will be back with us next week, and we're going to talk about some great resources that help with mapping out a student's journey in AP. Don't miss it. We'll talk with you then. And for all our support of AP students, yep, our support, AP coordinators, we are truly good as gold.
And maybe I just don't know. I'll say it over and over and over again till I believe it's so. I'm good as gold.